Hello everybody, this is Patrick at Patrick Damore Golf Instruction. Today we got Ernie Els on the operating table, and I'm going to show you a couple things on what he does that goes along with the arcs, shoulders, and shift ideas that I have with my students. And Ernie's been a pretty good player for a long time, and he's had a very good golf swing for a long time, but I'm going to show you in particular a few of the things that I like to look at when I'm looking at golf swings and what makes them more consistent than other golf swings. First, I want to show you something about arcs, shoulders, and shift, and I'm talking about the shift part of it all. We're going to put a center gravity line down here on Ernie at his address position, and I would say this is probably right around where center gravity is, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm going to put a little circle around his head. And, you know, with the on-plane swing, the big thing about dynamic transfer of weight is, I promote greatly, is on the backswing, your center of gravity is going to travel ever so slightly this way, and on the forward swing, your center of gravity is going to travel to the target. And that's a little bit different than the stack and tilters and the Sean Foleys and whatnot, but, you know, any athletic motion I've witnessed, whether it's throwing a baseball, throwing a football, tennis, bowling, there is a dynamic transfer of weight. And the true is same with golf, in my opinion. But in any event, I'm going to show you something with Ernie Els here. Excuse me. He has a very, very good lateral dynamic transfer of weight, and you're going to see this here in a second. I want you to look at something here. From where he started, the blue line in the circle, to where he is now, that's pretty obvious on terms of where his center of gravity has moved. Now this is a driver swing, so with the longest club in the bag, your center of gravity is going to travel the furthest. And see how much his head's moved. His head has moved off the golf ball, folks. His center of gravity has traveled this way, to the back of the golf swing, up to the top of the back of the golf swing. I bet you it's moved probably almost 5-6 inches. Now, to start the forward swing, we'll get him moving here again. He's ever so slightly starting to move his body to the target. Now, in my opinion, I think it happens a little bit on the late side, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He may be trying to hit a different kind of tee shot here. He may be trying to get the ball up quickly over a dog leg or whatnot, but in my opinion, I still think he needs to work on transferring this weight a little bit better on the forward swing. And I'm not sure the year this golf swing was taken. I know he's been working with a lot of instructors, Harmon, Ledbetter, and whatnot. His backswing shift is really good. His forward swing shift up to impact, I think, in my opinion, could be improved upon. Let's get into the finish. Now you're going to see something that I really like to see in the golf swing, and that's very level shoulders at finish, very much straight up and down over his front foot at finish. Now, he gets to that position a little bit late, in my opinion. He's already, the golf ball's already taken off, folks, and he's still hanging way back, in my opinion. Let me put some dots up here. Here's that reverse C impact position, folks. Old school, and you know, he's about my age. He's about 43. I'm sure he was taught this big time when he was a kid. Head behind the golf ball, and I'm going to show you something. His head position at address, his head position at impact, it's actually moved back, as you can see right there. It's moved away from the target. And that's completely old school, in my opinion. In the on-plane swing, I'd like to see this head position, instead of here at impact, closer to here. Instead of having a severe, not that he has a severe tilt with his upper body, but it's enough to worry about, in my opinion. Again, he may be trying to hit a different kind of tee shot. He may be trying to loft this thing up in the air quickly. But for all intents and purposes, at impact, we're going to put the shoulder line up here. I want to show you something, folks. His shoulder inclination at impact. This always tells you whether a person's getting underneath and trying to hit up on the ball. That's a pretty good tilt. Now let's get him address. Big difference in those two. Some of the best golf strikers in the world, folks, have a very, very similar shoulder inclination at address as they do at impact. And Ernie is a little bit different. Now let's get him going through impact here. Alright, he starts moving to the target, in my opinion, a little bit late. If I was working with a gentleman like this, I'd get him moving his upper body. And I'm going to show you what I mean by upper body. I'd like to see this portion of his body at impact, maybe a little bit more over here. And we're talking inches, but again, that's what I'm looking at. And then obviously with the follow through, more over here. Now I'm going to bring up a golfer here, folks. See if I can find him here. I've got so many students, so many golfers, I'm sorry, in my catalog here. It's tough to sort through them, but I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. Here we go. That was rather quick. Nick Watney on the right. Now he's another guy that gets a lot of lessons from Butch Harmon. I'm going to show him an address, which he is, and we're going to show him an impact. Look at this. See how his upper body? Let's use a square here. There's his upper body at impact. There's his upper body at address. You can see at impact his upper body's more on top of the golf ball. Now granted, he's probably hitting about a 3 or 4 iron here, so it's a little bit more cover is going to be natural here. And of course on the follow through he's way out in front. You can see where his upper body is now. It's way out here, which is good. But let's put Nick Watney back to impact here. I'm sorry, to address. A couple of lines here. I'm trying to find his right shoulder, which looks to be about there. Let's get him in impact now, folks. You can see there's not much change in inclination. Now granted, he's not hitting the driver, but you understand what I'm saying. The closer you can get your shoulders inclined at impact to be very similar to the inclination at address, you're going to have the ability to cover the golf ball. And that only happens if we get the upper body moving this way to start the forward swing through the impact position and into the follow through. Now let's go back over here to Ernie for a second. Why is that dynamic transfer of weight important? Well, if we can get the upper body moving properly, what I mean by that is center of gravity moving this way on the backswing. I'm not talking a big Curtis Strange move back in the 80s. I'm just talking a slight move like Ernie does. And get the weight moving that way on the backswing. And obviously get the same upper body moving this way on the forward swing up to impact, which he kind of hangs back. Catches up here at the end though. If we can get the upper body moving to the target on that forward swing, we have the ability to make this forward swing arc wide instead of narrow. And that's important. And I'm going to show Ernie at the top here. I'm going to show you what I mean by wide. Let's look at his wrist hinge. He doesn't have a whole lot here at the top. Well, he does, but it's kind of close to 90 degrees. Oops, I'm sorry, it's the wrong one. Let's try that again. .86 degrees. Let's get him to start that downswing now. Now you can see his wrist hinge at the top was about 86 degrees, about 81 here, so he doesn't have a lot of down lag. Whatever angle he has at the top of the swing continues to be very similar to start that forward swing, and that is a huge factor on whether or not he comes in narrow or wide. And if he has a real huge down leg, but he doesn't, but if he did, he would be coming into the ball a bit more narrow than normal. Instead, he keeps his wrist hinge very, very similar on that forward swing up to impact, obviously until he releases it, so he comes in much more shallow. much wider. It's a wider forward swing arc. Now, I'm not saying casting. I'm not saying release the club early. All I'm saying is, when he's at the top of the swing here, his hands, right here, his hands travel a widest possible arc into the golf ball instead of a narrow arc. If his hips were to fire out of the way to start that forward swing, he'd end up taking a narrow move into the golf ball, but he doesn't. He keeps that wrist hinge and that arc very wide on that forward swing, which is really, really nice. And let's move him here. A little bit of down lag, not much, but a little bit. And again, that might be the angle we're looking at too, folks. If we were looking at this angle properly, we'd be the camera would be more up here, looking this way, and I'm pretty convinced his angle has not increased at all in that forward swing, which is good. But when he comes in wide like this, that club head itself essentially travels a more parallel angle into the golf ball compared to the ground, which means he's transferring whatever energy he has, that club head speed, into the back of the ball instead of into the ground. And that's very good. All good with that. And again, the biggest thing with this, let's bring up another golfer here. If I can find Mr. Bear with me again, folks. I got a lot of students up here, and this software, I wish categorize them a little bit better than what they do, but it is what it is. Alright, here we go. I think I found, there we go. Here's Snedeker, Brant Snedeker, another very good ball striker. When Brant's at the top of the swing, he has the ability to come back down a very similar path that he went on, instead of dropping down in here and under. And again, that's most of your tour pros, and when they're swinging poorly, that's what happens. They get too far underneath, and Tiger's a pretty good example of that. But when he comes down the same path as he went back on in Brant Snedeker's case, he has the ability to attack this golf ball down the target line instead of too far from the inside. And there's a lot of pros with that. I mean, folks, your dispersion will be a lot less, even with your bad swings. And Brant's a real good example of this. That golf club head on that backswing and on that forward swing is very, very much on plane. Let's do this little test now, folks. If I can get that hand position right there. Now let's forward him here a little bit. Not a big, huge underneath move to start that forward swing. That's really good. Let's get him up there again. Let's try this now. I'm going to dot it. Dot it. Dot it. See, those hands are moving more on circle or on arc instead of, well, get the wrong line up here, folks, bear with me. Instead of coming this way, he's coming back down to the golf ball, keeping the club on plane, long story short. And again, that greatly aids in attacking the golf ball down the target line instead of too far from in here. And Ernie does this not as well as Brant Snedeker, mind you, but he does do this pretty well. And when you're dealing with mechanics that are this good, you see a lot of this. Arcs, shoulders, shift, the on-plane swing. That's what I teach, that's what I promote. If you'd like to have your swing put on the operating table, folks, I can help. Look me up at my website, www.patrickdamorgolf.com, and give me a shout. Thank you.